It's 1st of March. Can you believe it,
Woohoo.
Trace? 1st of March,
I know.
2023.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm ready for March. I want the lamb. I don't want the lion. We've had enough of the lion. You know? Especially in Southern California. I measured it from November through February. We've had about 15 and a half inches of rain in Orange County, which is a
15?
whole heck of a lot for us. 15 and a half inches of rain in Irvine anyway.
Oh God, I don't think I've seen that since Alexandra was a toddler.
Yes, correct. Late 90s, right?
Late 90s. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Woohoo. Woohoo for us. Good. We got rain.
We got rain. The reservoirs are happy, but the
Yeah.
other thing we have, and I know I'm going to get a lot of sympathy from people who are out east and in the north. All of a sudden, potholes have showed up here in Southern California.
Yeah,
we
we
don't
never
have potholes.
I know.
But
I was looking
all
at the
volume of
road.
rain. Oh my gosh, it's just
I know.
washing away stuff. And
Yeah, I know. California is going to go way downhill if we get sinkholes next. That's not good. So anyway, but no, I don't think it's good. I know potholes. Who would have thought all that rain would do that? But it does.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's that song? It Never Rains in Southern California. They better not be playing that on the radio right now.
I have actually been hearing it a lot lately.
Unbelievable.
But anyway, for today, I'm excited. We're going to talk about a beginner concept, but I know that a lot of you also advise other podcasters, and this is a common advice. So I'd love for you to share this out with the rest of the community. And we're not going to go very long. This is going to be a nice short episode that we're going to record. But on the other side of this, stick around if you're an existing podcaster, because we have a big announcement to something that's seriously gone into effect in the industry, and we think it's harming you and your show, and we want to talk about that. And this is something that was driven by Apple, but we've seen a lot of hosting platforms follow suit, and we think it's a huge mistake, and we're coming out against that here at Podetize.
We're going to talk about that today.
We're going to talk about that today. We're going to almost record it as a second episode after our first one. Yep.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Only because we're going to record the content, because I'm going to be writing an article on it, and I want to capture what we both have to say, so I get it in the article.
Cool. All right. That'll be, for me, more fun than the initial topic.
I know, but with the initial topic, I think is really important for people to think about, like if you're struggling to get started, and this applies to anything. So like whether it's the podcast or something new you want to start.
Why don't you lead off?
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Feed Your Brand. I'm Tracy Hazzard, along with my co-host and partner, Tom Hazzard, and we are talking a little bit of a 101 kind of concept here. We're going to talk about effective strategies for overcoming barriers and starting your own podcast show. But I want you to insert this. There's always some quick start ways, some things to get your confidence up and get yourself moving. And that's really what we're going to talk today. So it doesn't matter whether you're starting a book, you're starting a podcast, you're starting a video cast, you're starting a new webinar series, whatever it is you're starting in your business, these kinds of principles are something that Tom and I use again and again and apply. And the three things are, Tom, so we set it up, is about being professional or acting professional. I'm going to say it. And it's like, I don't mean this in fake it till you make it. That's not something we like here, but this is do something that makes you feel professional, because when you feel professional about this, you're going to have more confidence to approach whatever it is. Things where you can find a quick start, a way to get into it faster. That's something that we always look for. And then a workaround to get support. So those are the three areas we're going to explore. And obviously we're going to specifically explore this in overcoming barriers to start the podcast show.
Okay. Well, I'm all for overcoming barriers, because I meet more people coming to us saying, I've been researching this, trying to get my podcast going. Sometimes it's 9 months. Sometimes it's a year. I've had one person come to me. It's been over 2 years. I'm like, okay, let's figure it out. What's holding you back? And just to get that monkey off their back, right? To get that obstacle out of their way.
Well, if that's where you want to start, Tom, then let's start with number 3 that I was referring to.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to hijack your order here. Yeah.
No. I think this is ideal. If you're saying there's lots of people who are kind of, I'm going to call it on the fence, right? Like they think they want to start a podcast, or they're what we always call permanent potential, right?
Yeah,
They have this
permanent
idea.
potential is right. That's where many people are when they come to us, and they may even realize they're in permanent potential. Usually they have the best of intentions, and maybe they're researching it at first because they want to know how to do it, or know a little more about it, and that's fine. Curiosity is a great thing. But then I don't know if
They
usually
never
it's a
pull the trigger.
budget
They never get
thing.
started,
It's
right?
either a budget of time or a budget of money that then holds them back. Oh, I don't have time to figure that out. Well, okay, you can get some support, and let's get that out of the way.
Right. So that's the section is really getting into the right support. And this is the problem that I find a lot of you go after. You're going after the wrong kind of support. A coach is not always the right kind of support. It may be that you need a consultant. You need somebody who's going to do some things for you. A coach just calls the plays, but a coach that doesn't also provide accountability for you can be a failure for you. So this is this sort of like conceptual strategy style coach. There's lots of them out there, but when they don't have an accountability component, I find in this particular, if you're sitting there in permanent potential on a lot of things, on a lot of projects, and you've been working with someone, that's the wrong type for you. Bring in an accountability component, shift your coach, change it to a different one if that's what it takes. Lots of people switch coaches up all the time. So that's what I would be looking for in this next set of support. So you want somebody that's going to provide you the how to do some things or get those things done, the vehicle, the resources to do them, and accountability. If you can combine those things in, you're more likely to be successful.
I agree with that, but I just want to put a little point of emphasis, or I guess add to what you one thing you said there, Tracy, which is a coach calls the plays. Put it another way, a coach tells you how to do something. You've still got to do it at the end of the day. They're not going to do it for you. So there's a big distinction there. A lot of times people are like, oh, I got to learn how to do this. Do I really learn how to do it? Or do I need to learn what I need to know as a host of a show to record good content, right?
Right. What you said there is really important, because a lot of times we think we're in a program that is teaching us how to do something, and actually it's only teaching us why we should do something. And that's because they're selling you something on the other side of it. So if you've gotten into a course or a program that doesn't actually have the tutorials, that doesn't actually have the tools, that doesn't actually have the resources, it is a sales funnel in disguise, and you've got to scale up. And this is why we find people who go in for this low $97 course on podcasting, and the next thing they know, they're $9,000 into it and they still don't have a podcast. And we've seen that happen because now they're masterminding and they still didn't get the how-tos, the missing pieces. So this is where I say the missing pieces are those resources on how to do it. We get a lot of people who get stuck because they never set their calendar up. Like, this is it. It's not one of our services. We will support you. We have videos, we have tutorials on how to do it. But because we don't actually physically go to set your Calendly up for you, you get stuck. So we actually found a resource that we utilize, and we love them, and they're fantastic. And they'll just actually, you can pay for 10 hours of those kinds of things, and they'll get you moving and get you to do it. So it's important to do that, because you really have to get those things accomplished, or you're not moving. You're not doing what's necessary to get this started. So resources and actual how-tos is an extremely important of it. But then accountability of, did you do this? Did you move forward? Did you accomplish that this month so you can be recording? Those things are the critical factors in getting the right support to get you moving. So another area that I want to highlight, we get a lot of people who get stuck where they do get they get their show set up, they get their calendar set up, they get all of this going, and they get stuck at that recording. They never make their first recording. Right. And we have a tactic that we use here, which is our reverse order tactic. And so the reverse order tactic is to record your interview first. And even if you don't plan to do a long-term interview show, maybe you can interview a partner or somebody in your business, because if you do something where you're being accountable to somebody else, to record, you're more likely to show up than you are if you were just to make an appointment with yourself and sit down at the microphone. So we always have them record an interview first, then record their biggest question they get or the thing that they repeat the most topic as a second thing, even if they aren't going to have a topic-based show. Again, we want them to do it because it's a way to introduce yourself to the audience. And then the third thing is to do your introductory episode. And so that is short, 10-minute or under. Maybe a trailer is going to come from that, or maybe you only want it to be a 3-minute, and that's okay too. But, recording that introduction of you and why you're doing this and what the show is about. And so if you go in that order, it's like writing your introduction chapter last.
Well, and I'm sort of smiling and laughing on the inside a little bit as you're saying this, Tracy, because everything you're saying is 100% true. But listeners, I want you to hear Tracy really buried the lead there a bit. She really, the recommendation is don't record the first episode first.
Right.
Okay. Because so many people that I meet that have been stuck in permanent potential just are stuck about and agonizing over trying to make that first episode perfect or to have it be representative of what their show is going to be about. The problem with doing that is if you don't have a lot of experience podcasting, you haven't done it before, you don't even really know what to expect, So how are you going to communicate to your audience in that first episode what to expect if you're not even sure what to expect? So I always recommend to podcasters, not just even your first couple episodes. I mean, you certainly can. Your plan of the recording those early 3 episodes is a good one, Tracy, but I would even record 4, 5, 6 episodes of content first. And then you get a better feel for what this show is going to be about. What kind of value are you providing? What can the listeners expect to get from you by subscribing and coming to every episode? And then go back and record that first episode, because now you have that experience to lean on. And, then, 50 episodes in, if your show is pivoted, go back and re-record that first episode. You can replace it, right?
You can replace it at any time. So another way to do that is also if you're really uncomfortable with the idea of doing an introduction episode or an episode about you, like sometimes we're going to do a whole interview show, but we sometimes need to tell our story about why we're doing this so that it sets the context and tone, and so the audience can get to know you. We don't really want, and people are sometimes uncomfortable sitting there doing that all alone to the microphone. It feels very uncomfortable. In that case, invite a friend, ask a member of our team. If you work with us, we're happy to do it for you. Invite a member of our team to kind of interview you and do a interview model about you. Other podcast hosts are really great about doing that. So that's also something you could do and swap with someone else, working on someone who's also starting their show, and you two swap and interview each other for the start of your show. You could always edit out the questions and edit it together if you don't want that as a part of your show, but doing it could sometimes help you in the flow of getting started. And that other person is acting like what the audience wants to hear. So they're prompting and pulling it out of you, which can be more effective strategy than you sitting down. And what I definitely don't want you to do is sit down and read a script. So we don't want that to happen. Don't read your bio, don't read a script, don't do any of that. So if we can get you to do it the other way, have somebody support you and help you. Again, putting support and this tactic together could be the success factor for you in getting started and really overcoming that barrier that's holding you back from getting your podcast show started. So let's talk about the last thing, Tom, being a pro, feeling like a pro. This is where I do want you to have a piece of equipment, right? I want you to have a microphone. That's it. I don't need you to have anything else, nothing fancy, but I don't like those coaches who recommend you just take your phone and start recording. It feels too casual. It's unprofessional in the scope of things. You don't feel like a podcaster doing it. It's one of the reasons Tom and I started with the mic blocks. Right? Our mic flags, mic blocks, whatever you want to call them, with your show name on it. Our case, our podcast, our Podetize name is on the one that you can see on the video, but I am also flipping around and showing you my show, The Binge Factor, right? So you can see that one too. So you get a sense of this professionalism that you feel as a host of a show simply by having a pretty decent mic, under $100, under $80 most often, and a mic flag or a branding thing that just says, this is my show. And it makes that stake in the ground and make you feel so professional. So when you're doing your interviews, when you're recording, it sets the tone. I'm a podcast host. That could make all the confidence difference you need right there. It's a simple hack to kind of get you through that stage of, no, I haven't recorded 100 episodes, but I got a mic and a mic flag and I'm good to go.
You'd be, well, maybe you're not surprised, Tracy, but I think the listeners might be surprised to learn how much people really want that mic flag who start working with us. They pay for a done for you podcast setup, and it's not the cheapest program out there. This mic flag, we don't even charge them for it. It's like a gift we give them because I don't want to charge tax on that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
They're buying a service, and we give them a gift of the microphone and the mic flag when they do it. But a lot of times we send them their microphone without the mic flag because we want to get them recording and their show name hasn't been decided yet. So we don't want to hold that up. So the mic flag comes later. And to us, it's like, nice to have. It's not urgent. It doesn't have to be there this week. It could be there next week. We get busy as a company and maybe don't always send them out immediately, which I would wish we did. But the reality is they'll call us up that, hey, where's my mic flag? Where is it? I need that mic flag. I want to feel
like a pro.
I mean, it's like, wow. It's so, but that's just to the point, your point, Tracy, that it is actually important for your mindset and your level of, like you say, professionalism, how you present yourself, your demeanor. If you feel good about yourself, your message is going to come across better. Pardon me.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. This sets the tone for that. So we will really love it if people record, right? Like, it just makes our job easier, right? It's just, we don't have to, if you're set and ready and your mindset and you're ready to record and go, then this is so absolutely critically important, is that you're recording, and anything we can do to support you in that is part of that process. So figure this out for yourself. Think this through. Really, what area is it? Is it mindset and confidence? Is it process? Is it resources? Is it accountability? What area is the biggest barrier for you? And try some of these tactics and see if it can unstick you. And if none of those work, we have all kinds of resources on our website at podetize.com. Go there, find other tools, find other tactics, type into our help team, type into our resources page, find something that it gets you that answer. We're here for you to make that happen. And there's bound to be someone who has a different method. So we'd love to hear that too. So please share your methods and your ideas with us. Many of you are accountability coaches out there. Share some of your accountability tactics. Help other podcasters get going. So critically important. Anyway, that's our big message today. We're not going to belabor this. We want you to get unstuck. So go do, right? So get off of listening, get off of researching, go do.
I love that, Tracy, but recap those three things. What was that middle thing?
So be a professional, set the professional tone, give yourself some confidence, work backwards. This is a constant tactic. Work as if you're in the middle of something, write the middle chapters, right? Work from the middle backwards to the beginning, to the introduction. You're going to know what that introduction needs to be if you do that. And get yourself some support that has resources and accountability in it. You need both things. You don't just need to talk strategy. You don't just need to talk masterminding. You don't need to talk about why you need to do something. You need to get the how and the when so that you do it now.
Awesome. Thank you, Tracy, for recapping that. Very, very important. And very much enjoyed that. One little other tip, when any of you go to podetize.com, go to the Feed Your Brand podcast page, start there, click on any one of the episode blogs, because once you get into there, there's a great search bar that's really good Boolean text search going through all of our content. That's one of the best resources on our website.
And our resource library is being redone. And so we called it the knowledge base, but it'll be up and it's going to be redone completely. And it's going to integrate better with Feed Your Brand in the next couple of months. So come check that out as well. So podetize.com, go to the blog post for this episode and for any episode that you hear Tom and I record, or if you're out there catching us in the live stream, know that that's a resource for every live stream that we've ever done is also captured there.
All right. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. We'll be back next time. This has been Tom and Tracy Hazzard on Feed Your Brand.
All right.
All right. I just created more work for us because I've gotten a couple emails while we've been on this call saying, hey, I need my mic flex.
We usually send them out to somebody. Is it because someone came in without having their show set up by us? Is that what happened?
No. I mean, actually, one of them was Tina Fornwald. And you know what? I think her show launched in record speed, and
it just didn't catch up. Okay.
I don't know. You know what?
If you're one of our clients, please reach out to our success team, and we're happy to send those to you. So you can out to the success or help team. And you don't have to purchase one, Kevin. We'd be happy to send it to you. It sometimes when we have a transition customer, because we didn't set up your show, you didn't get one in the process. So
right. And actually, and then Ruth asked about it too. Ruth, I'll send it to you also.
She asked for 2.
Yeah, I know she asked for 2.
Make sure you have the right kind of microphone.
Well, but just to be clear, and for everybody streaming, usually we don't send mic flags to people that are only hosting customers. They need to be production customers of some kind, of which Kevin
it's not a regular practice there.
Kevin is, but Ruth, I'm happy to send
you guys are such great participants here in our coaching call. We'd be happy to reward
anybody
you.
Who's here live and showing up, I'll get you one. That's fine. You just need to email us. We need to take a little time to make the artwork the right sort of size. And then we lost Tracy.
My camera just crashed, and I'm wondering if that was because of the power outage before. It's not.
I don't know. Yeah,
so give me a second to reset that.
That's fine. Okay, so you reset that. I am excited about the next thing we're going to talk about, and this is one that some of our longtime podcasters, even Scott Carson, who's here, I think might have some interesting things to contribute to this. Should I get started with that, Tracy, or did you have a particular way you wanted to enter that discussion? I may have lost Tracy altogether. No, she's there. She's just maybe she's on the other side of her desk trying to fix her camera. So I'm just going to call an audible and go. All right. So there's been a lot of the podcast hosting companies, of course, of which Podetize is one. A lot of the podcast hosting companies have started to do something different, that they're trying to make their podcasters, and I think the media at large believe is in the best interest of the podcaster. And that is, they've defaulted their platforms. There's 4 of them, I think, so far have done it. And Apple's done this too. And Apple's selfishly doing it for their own best interest too, where they are removing the email address, the official email address for the show, from your show RSS feed. Now, not to go off on the technical deep end here, but your RSS feed is the technical mechanism that distributes your podcast to all the listening apps. And within that is show information, the name of your show, the name of the author, who's you, the host, the description of the show, the copyright line, is it explicit or is it not, things like this. And forever, until the last few months, your official email address for the podcast, whatever one you designate and you want the world to be able to reach you at for anything about your podcast, is in that RSS feed. So now some platforms have been blocking it. They're removing it from the RSS feed. They would tell you because, podcasters get too much spam email about their podcast, and we want to protect them from that spam email. Telling you right now, I'm calling BS on that. That is a bunch of garbage. Here.
Yeah, it's absolute garbage. Look, you started a podcast because you wanted to share your message to the world. You wanted to make a connection to your audience. And Apple's saying, these are our subscribers. So if we make this happen, then it's even harder for those podcasters to get connection to our subscribers. And Podbean and Buzzsprout and Transistor and Captivate are going, we lose a lot of customers because they get poached by messages from other podcast hosting platforms, from other companies, poaching them from us. So we don't want that to happen. So we're going to just hide everything, and we're going to tell them it's in their best interest. And the reality is that it is not in your best interest. I have gotten some of the best guests we've ever had on our show from an email that came from somebody who found it on our RSS feed. I have built some of the best relationships with venture partners, joint venture partners, from someone who connected with me, and we had similar services that could have some synergy together. We got a top-level $25,000 advertiser who not only went through and sent me emails, which I ignored because I thought they were spam, but then because of that, they found our website, which they found through our RSS feed because it was set up properly instead of disguised by our host, because we had done that right. They found us, she booked on my calendar, and we ended up with a $25,000 sponsorship going into play. Those things can only happen if you open up your connection.
So,
and that is a necessity.
It is just counterintuitive, and it's just not in your best interest to be hard for listeners or anyone really to reach you about your podcast. If you don't want potentially junk email coming to you on your normal email, guess what? Create an email. feedyourbrand@podetize.com for our Feed Your Brand podcast. Create a new email. It could be an email, alias, or a whole new email. Create a Gmail, mypodcastname@gmail.com. It does not need to be your company or your personal email. Protect yourself that way. You can also use a tool like unroll.me. I know it's one of Tracy's favorite tools to filter out junk mail and make it easy to unsubscribe from things you don't want. But don't block yourself from the opportunities that are out there. So here's a little pro tip on this. So far, what I've found is every one of these podcast hosting platforms that has removed by default, they've defaulted to remove your email from the RSS feed. In most of them, and I've seen within the back end of at least 3 of them, you go into your settings and there's a little toggle switch where it says, block my email from RSS feed, or remove my email from RSS feed, or hide it, or whatever. And you can unhide it yourself. I highly recommend you do it, because most of us, at least most of Podetize customers, are podcasting in service to a business of some kind.
Isn't Kevin's podcast one of those ones that are blocked? Kevin Warren's.
Kevin's hosted on Podetize.
Oh, okay. No. I was thinking it was somebody. We were looking up somebody, and it was a Kevin, but I can't remember which Kevin it was. You're right. It's not his though.
Yeah.
It's a different one. Yep.
No. So, but anyway, Podetize customers don't have this problem because we have not removed your email from your RSS feed. And does that mean that competitors could try to poach you from us if they know what to do? Yeah, sure they could.
But we're counting on the fact
that we're serving you and providing you value, that why are you going to leave and go elsewhere?
Right. And it's not just that. Everything that we do with the direct consideration of this trifecta that we want to create, and we want you to create, which is that your listeners are benefiting, you are benefiting, and your sponsors, partners, guests, whatever it is, in advertisers, whatever it is in the third wing of that, are benefiting. Not our hosting platform. Our hosting platform benefits because you stay podcasting because it's worth it to you. That's our mission, our message, the way that we structure everything that we do. If it's not worth it to you anymore, then you should be leaving our platform. We are continuing to work towards providing help and support and resources and the right tools, and making sure that we're not letting you fall into the traps of what the industry is putting out there that is not in your best interest, making sure that that doesn't happen. It's one of the reasons we don't comply with IAB. We don't believe that's in your best interest either.
That's
because
a
our
whole rabbit
core,
hole we're not
that's a
going to go
whole
down
nother
today, but
podcast that we'll
yeah,
record. I think we've covered it before actually, but
maybe.
if we haven't, we will in the future. But that's a whole nother thing, is like those IABs are not, IAB standards are not in the best interest of independent business podcasts that are looking to get your messages out there, build community, build your nonprofits, build your businesses, help with your coaching programs, your masterminds, all the things that you're building. That strategy is something completely advertising based. So if you're building a show that starts with an advertiser, go over there. But that is not what we want for you. We're looking out for this trifecta creation of that everyone is winning, because when everyone is winning, you're going to keep podcasting, your business is going to benefit, or your underlying service nonprofit mission is going to benefit from whatever that is. And that means that eventually your sponsors, your partners, your guests, all of those things will benefit as well. And so we want to make that happen. And so when we see something like that, what we know is counter to that, we are going to continue to come out against it. And so Podetize will not have those kinds of things. It's why we don't steal authority. We don't allow you to have our link to putting a podcast page on our site. We don't do that here.
That's the other common thing that other podcast hosting companies will tell you. Oh, we're better because you don't need a website. We give you a website. And they don't really give you a website. There's a landing page for your podcast on their website, and they're hijacking your listening traffic from the listening app. There's a link to every episode web page, especially from Apple Podcasts, and you click it, and all of a sudden you're on a Libsyn page, or you're on a Transistor page, or and guess what? That doesn't help you. If you don't have your own website and you're a podcaster that wants to be taken seriously, you need your own website. Even if it's a single landing page, you need your own website for your podcast that's your domain and not on one of the hosting platform sites. That helps them, not you. They don't want you to believe that, because it really helps them.
So. Yeah, it's higher traffic. It raises the domain authority of their website, and it just gives them the same thing that they already got. Your listeners already got that same thing over in Apple, or over in Spotify, or
That's
over
true.
in the listening app. So it's duplicate for them. So they're kind of like, oh, you're not a pro. You're not a professional. You don't have the proper links. That's the other thing that's going to happen when you don't have an email. When you make it difficult for people to contact you, you make it difficult for them to do business with you. This is friction in that process is already hard enough when we're trying to leave a social media platform, when we're trying to leave a podcast listening app to come find you. It's already hard enough for them to do that. They have to go search and find it. They have to know where to click. They have to know what to look for. But then to hide your email address on top of it, that is just a ridiculous practice that needs to be stopped. And we're coming out against that right now for all of you. So not in your best interest, no matter what. Put up with a little spam, because the good things that come through that are going to be extremely powerful business building things. And there's so many ways to deal with spam nowadays. Like, there's so many filters, all of the unfocused inboxes and all of that stuff. Every tool is out there in your email world. There's 100 different tools you could use. There's AI tools that you could utilize. There's Unroll.me that Tom was referring to that I use. There's, of course, using different email addresses. That's also a strategy as well. There's always a way for you to filter out to the things that are just most critical for you. And then hiding your email address, keeping this privacy model of it is not in keeping with syndication, getting your message out there. So,
all right.
So Scott Carson and anyone else who's asking this question is, do you need to do anything? If you are with Podetize, you need to do nothing. We have got you covered. It is not going to change how your message is going out there. If you're getting too much spam and you would like to change your email address to being thenoteclosershow@gmail.com or whatever it is, go and do that. But I'm sure you're smart enough. Yeah.
Podcast at weclosenotes.com if you want. Right now, Scott's own personal email is in his RSS feed. I just let him know that. And maybe he wants that. He's in business and he wants people to reach out to him. That's fine. But if for some reason you want to filter out that email and just have it be in a different bucket for you to
just have a different inbox
interact
board or
with it a
have something that
different way.
an assistant can manage. All you have to do is go into your profile in Podetize and change the email address that's in the feed. It's
The
it.
show,
You edit the
it's in
show
the show
settings,
settings. Okay. On the
right?
shows
It's not
tab.
going to edit your settings from how we contact you because that's in a totally different system.
Place.
It is only editing the syndication settings. So you can change your email address in that anytime you would like. And so that is something. So you can log into your Podetize portal, check that out, edit your show settings, and check out what email address is in there. And if you'd like to change that, if you need any support, would like any help, would like us to do it for you, send a message to help@Podetize or success@podetize.com. We will be happy to fix that for you in an instant. It's super easy for us to do as well.
I was just had a meeting with someone before this coaching call who's just moved their podcast to Podetize. They have 350 episodes.
Oh, nice.
And they're all full of those Libsyn webpage links, even though they have their own website, and they have a post for every episode on their website. They haven't been using it, hadn't been paying attention to it. And now they're having to go back in because Libsyn didn't do them I was going to say did not do them a favor. And I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but for 350 episodes,
they did them a disservice.
They did them a disservice where instead of making it clear, hey, put your link for the webpage on your website here, Libsyn just kind of buries it. It's like putting a story on the third page of the newspaper when you need to put it out there, but you don't want it to get too much attention.
It's like you have to click more or advanced in order to know where to stick it. Like a lot of hosting companies bury that section.
But anyway, now they're having to go through because they've already got the link, but 350 of them, boy, that's a lot to replace. And unfortunate. So look, we're just trying to.
But we can also, like, if you need bulk edits or you need something like that and you would like assistance to that, reach out to us. If you're hosting with us and if you just need some assistance with that process, we have a team and we can structure something to make debit one of your episode credits and we'll fix it for you or something like that. It's super easy. We try to be helpful to you, and we do have a team that can handle bulk edits and do things like this. So just reach out to help@ or success@, and we will make this happen for you.
We're just really, hopefully it's clear. We're sure we would like every podcast should be hosting on Podetize. I'm not going to lie. That's true. We're in business to grow, but we are at least trying to share with you what's in your best interest. And we're trying to really support what's in your best interest. That's why we don't even though we could.
Okay. So I want to qualify what you said. I am the CEO.
I may not have said it very eloquently.
I'm the CEO of this company. And actually we don't want everyone.
Excuse me. Okay.
Yeah, I want to say this. We qualify and say specifically who we are looking to attract. We don't want someone who is not committed to their podcast to come on our platform. It's why we don't have a free service. Those people can go to Anchor, like go clog up their servers. We do not want someone who's not committed to keeping their podcast. Even if they pod faded, we have a place for that, but you want to be committed to keeping that and putting it on your website, on your home base. So you're not committed to building a podcast and keeping it and building a home base for your show and keeping your authority with you. So you have a business-focused podcast, you have a mission-focused podcast, you have some kind of influence that you're creating in your podcast, and you want to make sure that that ends up back with you and not someone else. You care about where that lands. That's the people that we're focused on. Those are the hosts that we can help the most, that we have our services are built around. That's what we're focused on. So do I want to say everyone in the podcast ecosystem? No, I don't want 2.5 million users on my show. I want the 300,000 who care about their show on my platform. So that's what we're really actually in business for. And when you stay focused like that, it makes it really easy for us to screen through some of these things that are coming out in the marketplace and say, are these of interest and service to our community or not? And this one is in disguise in the best interest of Apple, Spotify, and the hosting companies, and not in your best interest, the listener best interest, or eventually your advertiser and guest best interest. Not in anyone's best interest. So that's I know we're being kind of harsh about it, but I'm tired of these things coming up in the industry and then them making it sound like it's good for you. It's so harmful. And what they are also playing on is this privacy kind of model. Like they're playing and preying into that, especially Apple in this case. And I'm really kind of annoyed with them on that because they earn so much money in revenue, in subscriptions, in advertising dollars. They earn so much money off of all the content you all create. And then they want to actually block you from access to the people that you're connecting with. And then telling you that it's because they're out to protect your privacy. As Tom said before, BS on that.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no more of that. We're not going to stay silent. We're not going to keep this hidden. We are coming out and saying this again and again and again to everyone.
The only way that we will add that function to our platform is if for some reason we're required to be in compliance with one of the listening apps. Like if Apple,
but I'm not going to default to it.
No, but all I'm saying is, look, Tracy, we know for everybody hosted on our platform as a podcast out there, the majority of their monthly plays are coming from an Apple listening app. If Apple requires something in order to register the show, like you can't get on Apple without it, of course we're going to do that because we want you all to be exposed on Apple and to have your podcast available to Apple listeners. It's where the majority of listeners are still today on podcasts. So that's the only, we obviously will be in compliance with anything like that. But
that's not going to stop us from calling out Apple on that because it's wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's wrong. But what we won't do is default to something that's not in your best interest. If we want to give you an option to do it, that's fine. Look, there is some cases where you have some extremely sensitive data, sensitive information, sensitive model of a podcast where you might want to be anonymous and keep that hidden. And we do know of one. But she has an anonymous email, like she has a persona and she uses that like a pen name. And that's the right way approach to do it. Because at the end of the day, she gets a lot of private messages of people reaching out to her, thanking her for helping them with their, and it's an addiction podcast in this particular case, thanking them for making a difference in their life, for saving their lives. And she wouldn't get those messages if she didn't have contact information that was easily available to them. So although it's not her personal email, it's not even in her real name, it works. Mm-hmm. That's what we all want. We want to know we're having an impact out there. And if people can't reach back to you, it's not going to happen. So, we will fight this in the industry on your behalf to make sure that these things are happening. And we really will fight Apple on this. We will come out as many publications as I can get on to talk about it or write an article for and talk about how there is a line in privacy to being selfish. And that's what this is. They're doing this in their selfish, best financial interests and not in the best interest of the content creator.
And the worst part is they're trying to sell it as it's in your interest.
That they're doing you a
favor. And that's the thing that really irks me. All right.
Right. But when they do it and they're blocking you.
A little fired up about this, folks.
Yeah. Yeah. But if they came out and said it was an app and they were actually blocking it, we would be all over that in terms of petitioning them. So,
okay. So, it's sort of the time in the hour here where if you've got any questions, please reach out, post it here as a comment. If you have a question or anything you'd like some support with, or online, if you're there, I'm monitoring a few of the platforms anyway. I don't know that I can monitor all of them.
Well, I was monitoring it on,
on what, LinkedIn, hopefully
on in Restream, and I don't know what Alan is saying here, but it is like a really
Alan who
Alan Wilterdink is commenting.
Oh, he was watching us
on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know what glasses purple yellow diamond means, but hey.
I'll take it. I don't know. Alan's a good guy. Thanks for watching, Alan, or listening. Yeah.
So anyway, so next week, let's talk about our content next week. So what do we got coming up? We have got, let's see, copywriting. We're going to talk about copywriting, best practices regarding video, music, and images. And this was a direct request because we've been having clients who are having copyright issues, and most of them, we didn't set up their show, but they're having music copyright issues where there's sort of like takedown messages and other things, or requiring proof of your copyright that you did actually purchase the music and everything like that through one of the royalty-free sites. And this happens on images too. It happens in blogs where you didn't give attribution the way you were supposed to.
Well, or worse. We have a couple of cautionary tales to share about that
Yeah.
are going to make this episode interesting. When you first said it, I thought you meant copywriting, like writing your description of your podcast. I'm like, copywriting? Really? We're going to talk about that?
No, copyright, like the legal format.
Copyright as regard to original content and of recordings, video, audio, images, such. Yes, music.
Yeah.
That's a very good subject.
And then we got a lot of really great feedback on our episode on artificial intelligence, IA. And I have been speaking on numerous podcasts about this. And I have an event tomorrow that is going to be streamed on live on LinkedIn. It is an event on cybersecurity and IT, specifically talking about intellectual property related to that. So this should be really fun and interesting. It is at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And it will be streamed over LinkedIn. So if you go to my LinkedIn, you go to Tracy Hazzard on LinkedIn, you'll be able to connect up directly to the event that's organized within LinkedIn. So that's why I'm putting it there rather than sending you a link out to the event. But it is going to be a lot of fun. And there's an IT expert, a lawyer. We're going to be talking about all aspects of the artificial intelligence space. So that could be really cool for you to join us on if you have an interest in that area tomorrow.
Cool. You're getting up early to do that tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I'm not taking any kids to school. I'm going straight to do the webinar.
I'm just teasing you. Tracy doesn't usually do 8 a.m. meetings on the West Coast.
I don't, because we got the overlapping who's taking kids to school and who's doing what. And we've got not enough time to get ready in the morning. So I like to not rush. I'm
an early bird. I'll take a 6 or 7 a.m. meeting. I get more done before 10 a.m. than most people do most of the day. So I like early. You generally don't, though. That's fun. I just thought that was funny. Sorry.
Very
Putting
funny.
that out there to the world.
Hey, I can be on at any hour.
It's true.
So yeah, it is.
All right. Although this morning I would have been challenged for a 6 a.m. meeting. We lost power here.
We did. We lost power this morning.
Which never happens.
Well, I'd say, hey, we can end a little early today. We don't seem to have any additional questions. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate those of you that keep engaging week after week. We hope that it's really making an impact on your show. What we do know and what we can see on our back end is that those that are participating and utilizing our resources, including this coaching call, last longer, don't pod fade as quickly, and end up with higher statistics and higher scores than other shows that don't participate in this. So we know we're having an impact on the overall statistical standpoint, but I hope that it feels like that to you as well. So thanks everyone for listening, and thanks for being here. And we'll see you next week when we talk about copyright and law.
Thanks.